Good morning, students. Now, with the continuation in the previous day's lecture, now we are in the part just the traditional housing. Okay. So usually these are called vernacular architecture. Okay, this is vernacular architecture, which is an architectural style and design based on local needs, availability of the construction material, and reflecting the local traditions. Originally, the vernacular architecture relied on the design skill and tradition of local builders and also local skilled laborers. It tends to evolve over time to reflect the environmental, cultural, technological, economic, and also historical context in which actually this type of architecture exists. In case of environmental factors, what are the major aspects of environmental factors? There are so many things which are the important factors in case of environmental factors. The major aspects are the geology, land and soil, weather and climate, availability of the building material in that specific locality. These are the factors, but on the other hand, there are so many factors which are to be taken into the considerations. That is the family size, family structure, that is it a joint family or is it a nuclear family? Food habit, one of the most important food habits, materials, cultural practices, and also the belief system. Based on the building material used in wall constructions, it can be categorized in 2-3 divisions. It can be categorized. First one is adobe, ADOBE, adobe. This means mud blocks or whole wall. Okay, mud blocks or whole wall. Second, as you all know, this is masonry. Masonry means it is about all about stone, clay, or concrete blocks. Okay. Then comes to timber, this is one important thing, and bamboo is another important thing. This is commonly a combination of material which is generally used in case of a vernacular architecture. The layout of the building, primary layout of the building. This is also varies. Like we have many things there. That is like circular plan, one is rectangular plan, or it may be a linear plan. Okay. So similarly, there may be a single story or multi-story building. Okay. So now in India, Indian condition, such type of vernacular housing are very common in if you're going to in a rural context, and its design, plan, and the building material vary with the geographical region or geographical area. So design may be vary, plan may be vary, and building materials also may be vary according to the geographical regions where you are. So vernacular housing you can see in 3 places. It is quite obvious in 3 places. Vernacular housing it is of Chhattisgarh. This is an example of the state Chhattisgarh. You can see this, and this is in Himachal Pradesh. This is the second example in Himachal Pradesh, and you can also see it is in the Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so Himachal Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. These are the area where you can see the vernacular architecture building. Okay, so it is important to explore such type of practices with the objectives to identify what are the merits, what are the demerits of such type of practices in the houses, traditional housing, and its usefulness. Obviously, its usefulness in the context of the climate change adaptation, which is important. Climate change adaptations. Second important is the earthquake resistance. Is there any power to resist the earthquake or not? That is, and third is the environmental sustainability. So this type of vernacular architecture will be tested through three common ground. The first one is there any climate change adaptation within the structure? Is there any climate change adaptation? Second is there the power to resist, or the resistance power of earthquake, the earthquake resistance? And third is there any environmental sustainability? So these are the three points or three criteria which anyone can test it about the traditional housing, okay, or traditional housing system. Now, when we after the meeting of a build, after completing the traditional building system, it is obvious that the second next main important thing in the area is the agriculture practices, which is the traditional agriculture practices. In many areas of the country, till date, traditional agriculture practices are considered important. Okay, these practices are followed in the many areas like selection of crop variety, land selections, preparation of the land, soil fertility management, pest and disease management, all things, and irrigation, harvesting, and there is a post harvest management, and finally for the next cultivation, which is important, is the seed preservation. Okay, so that is also a process, seed preservation. Moreover, there are different types of tools and implements used for the purpose of the same type of thing in area to area. Okay, so we have different types of land cultivar. Okay, land cultivar in different regions. You can see the different size of different dimension in different region, which are the potential source for climate change adaptations, because many of such crop variety are either in drought area or in flood tolerant. Okay, flood tolerant. Okay, now this type of you can see the design of the traditional plough in different shape. You can say it in different shape in all over the India. Okay, so the process which are traditional, actually this is the three things. There is the land preparation, soil fertility management is an important, pest and disease management, which is traditionally, and the post harvest management, and seed preservations, which is important, seed preservation. So these are the traditional agricultural practices which you can see in the most region in the rural areas of India. Now you can, if you see the variety in the rice, okay, traditional rice variety. So most common, you can see the so much variety in the northeastern region of India. There is the variety of the Assam, and the variety of the northern India. Okay, and you can see another type of variety of rice in the Kaveri Delta over near Tamil Nadu, Kaveri Delta over Tamil Nadu. There is another variety. Okay, so there are so many varieties of the rice. You can see one type of variety in the northeastern region of India. Similarly, you can check the variety of the Assam. You can check the variety of the northern India, or it is the variety of the Tamil Nadu. So these are the different variety in different area. Okay, now when it's different in case of the seed preservation technique, when you're talking about seed preservation technique, in different regions people adapted different methods of seed preservations. Okay, preservation and also side by side it is a storage also, storage and preservations. Okay, now if we come into the prediction, there is a weather prediction which is done by the cultivators or done by the people from the rural area. So there are many methods of weather prediction practices, okay, which are commonly used by the farmers at the local or the local members, local people in different parts of the country. You can take an example. There is the farmers in Himachal Pradesh. You take the farmers in Himachal Pradesh. They believe that if the honeybee flies towards the northern hill, if the honeybees flies towards the northern hill, there will be no rainfall. This is a belief. There will be no rainfall. And if the honeybees fly towards the south, there will be a good rainfall. So this is a prediction which is done by the Himachal Pradesh farmers. On the other hand, you can see another formation of prediction in Rajasthan. Okay, in Rajasthan, it is many local communities believe that the appearance of many butterfly together, indicate a good rain, and that is the indication of a better crops. So it is the movement of the honeybee that dictates whether it is rainfall or not in case of the Himachal Pradesh, and in Rajasthan it is the appearance of the much more butterfly or many butterfly, appearance of the butterfly, which indicate that it will be a good rain and it will be a better crops. Okay, better crops. So these are the weather forecasting prediction, which is very traditional in nature, and in most of the cases, you can see in many cases, such type of phenomena are related with the seasonality and in maintaining the season-wise agricultural activity. Okay, it is connected with the season-wise agricultural activity. So there are many such example. Okay, not this two one. There are many such example available in the agroclimate zone of the country. Okay, so many things. There are so many things available. So these are the general predictions. Okay, now one thing is that the traditional practices in animal husbandry. It is another part, which is the traditional practices in animal husbandry. Actually, traditional knowledge regarding animal husbandry can be considered as old as the domestication of various livestock species. But these practices are in throughout the rural India, and these are documented a little bit one. Hence, there are the possibility of eroding out of this type of knowledge system. For example, if you take the traditional practice of the feeding, includes crop residue like straw, stalks, stover, tops, and crop thrust like wheat, paddy straw, as well as crop byproduct that include burned husk or straw of wheat, rice, bajra, and maize. Okay. It is believed that women have a very important role. Women have a very important role in the traditional method of integrating agriculture with animal husbandry. Women have a very important role in this area. So traditional knowledge about the treatment of the animal disease. Okay, the traditional knowledge about the treatment of the animal disease, including both like preventive and also curative, both preventive and curative. But the practices which is based on local medicines using many types of herbs. Okay, herbs. Now women understand the importance of each and every herb and plant combination. Sometimes it is used a single herb, sometimes it is a combination of herb used, or sometimes it is two herbs or in another plant mixing combinations. Okay, those are used for the local medicines. Those are used as local medicine for the disease of the animals or any preventive measures of the towards the animals. So they understand which leaves are best for which fodder. Okay, and their sustainability for the cattle and preparing highly concentrated feed for the animal. They can prepare. They had a process to prepare the concentrated feeds for the animals to improve their yielding power of milk yielding. Okay, so milk yield. Okay, so preparing highly concentrated feed for the animals for improving milk yield. It is also a part of the traditional practices in the animal husbandry system. Okay, so now thus it become very important to collect and documents the all this type of practices, and also to evaluate their validity in the present day through every uses of the kernel of this every uses of the science. Okay, so it become very important to collect and document the practices, and also it is important to evaluate this type the validity of this process. Okay, so we know 2-3 treatments that is practiced to cure the disease of the animal. Devdar tel, Devdar tree, Devdaru. So Devdar tree tail. It is a common practices followed to cure, apply on the wounds of the animal. Okay, wounds of the animal, to cure the wounds of the animal. Okay, so cow, any type of cow urine which is mixed with the black ashes, and this is used for the external parasites on the external parasite of the animal, any type of external parasite of the animal. Okay, so kalo jire, there is a kalo jire powder is heavily used in many places to in case of when there is a fever of the animal. Okay, if there is any fever of any animal, then kalo jire powder is heavily used to reduce down that fever of the animal. It is commonly used. Okay, and there is also a combination which is dhania, onion, kala jeera and curd. Okay, so this is a combination of dhania, onion, kala jeera and curd, and this combination is used when there is a loss of appetite in the animal. When there is a loss of appetite within the animal, then this type of combination, dhania, onion, kala jeera and curd, this type of combination is used to cure the loss of appetite. When it is appear in the animal, there is a loss of appetite. Then this type of practices followed. Okay, so this treatment, which is to cure diseases or any type of preventive measures. Okay, so fodder management for domesticated cattle actually. So according you can see, according to many villages, there are so many villages that these practices ultimately help them to maintain the clean cattle sheds, and make it easy to collect the dung. Okay, if your area is clean, then it is easy to collect the dung of the animal. So the clean cattle sheds helps many things. Okay, if the cattle shed is clean, this helps to maintaining the cattle health, which is very important, particularly from the disease that occur in the summer or in any monsoon seasons. Okay, so in the clean cattle shed is the target. So that will help to, first it is easy to collect the dung, it is the first thing, and second is that it helps to maintain the cattle health, which is second important, which is very important, and second one, the cattle health, and particularly from the disease which is common to the animals during the time of summer, which is common to the animals during the time of any type of monsoon seasons. So these are the common. Okay, so now identification of traditional unique practice, its documentation and verification of the status of uses or applications, and then measures of the effectiveness and validation of its appropriateness, along with the scientific base, are the important aspects that is evolved actually. Okay, so observations and identification of practices, it is very necessary that observations and identification of the such type of practices, documentation and verification of the status of the applications, and measure of the effectiveness and validation of this type of the appropriateness along with a scientific base, obviously along with a scientific base. Okay. So, it is always better to note that any type of observational informations, any type of observational information in a systematic manner, okay, all type of observational method in a systematic manner, which will help in the identification of any specific type of study. Okay. So, that is important, the specific type of study. Suppose a compilation, suppose we are taking an observational information, suppose we are taking house building. Okay. So, think about the house building. Okay. So, what are the size to be known? Now, we have to know first what are the preparatory activities. This is our first question. So, note down all the preparatory activities. What are the preparatory activities? Then we have to note the midway activities. Secondly, midway activities. Third, we have what are the final activities. Note down the final activities. Then these are the main activity in preparatory, midway and final activity for a house building. Okay. Now, second is we have to note down the application of the tools and techniques. What type of applications of tools and techniques? That is a part. Now, we have to note what are the management principle. Okay. Management principle, that how it is focused on minimizing material waste, minimizing cost of time, minimizing labor, minimizing the money, and how it helps. So, that would be including in the management principle, that is within the management principle. Now, we have to note down what are the associate manpower. Then uniqueness, if there is any uniqueness, that to be noted, and put it in your remarks. So, what if you have observational information, what to collect? First is the preparatory activity, second is the midway activity, third is the final activity, then you have application of tools and techniques, then you have management principle, then you have associate manpower, and then if there is any uniqueness, and then put your remarks on that. Okay. So, these are the actually compilation of an observation information. If you are taking anything, you can you are not taking house building, you can take water management, you can take agriculture, you can take food and medicines, you can take any handloom, you can take any handicraft, but all in this sphere. If you are in the type of observation, you have to note down the points which are preparatory activity, midway activity, final activity, then application of tools and technique, then management principle, then associated manpower, then if there is any uniqueness, and put your remarks. That is actually the process of observations. Then according to the observations, you have to detail your documentations. Okay. According to the observations point, you have to detail your documentations. Okay. That is design setting, object setting, what is the material identifications, resource identification. Okay. Harvesting, if you are taking harvesting detail, or the processing of the material, how the material is processing of the material detail. Okay. Then total production activity detail, how much of the production activity detail, and management practices. You have to given the management practices for raw material, for manpower, for energy, for waste, or for safety, and above all, you have to give a detail of cleanliness. Is there any cleanliness? Okay. So, and with the final product, you have to explain the final product with its uses, so usefulness of the final product. So, that those these are all involved in your detailed documentation. Okay. These are within your detailed documentation. You have to give it on the detailed documentations. Okay. In that detailed documentation, and after the detail, you can give the final product and uses of the final product, or usefulness of the final product. Okay. So, and however, without validation, validation is one important thing, but however, without validation it is difficult, because without validation it is difficult to establish it appropriate utility. Okay. And in absence of that, it may not help us to explore the applicability in future context. okay, and to undertake any initiative for its improvement. So validation is very important. Okay, validation is very important, because without validity it is difficult to establish its appropriate utility. Okay, and you can absence of this thing, it may not help us to explore, okay, its applicability in future context, or to undertake any type of initiative for the improvement of the future. Okay, so this is the second part of the traditional knowledge system. Okay.